I'd like to bring on Dave Bent. He's going to be talking about the 3 critical success factors for B2B e-commerce success. A little bit about Dave. He's a leader in driving transformational business change for both billion-dollar and emerging companies. ES Tech Group Evolution X President Dave Bent is committed to helping any size B2B distributor affordably and efficiently realizing its full online seller potential. So yeah, I'd like to bring Dave Bent to the stage.
Yep, perfect. Well, Tim, it was a nice introduction. Thanks for having me. And I guess for everybody attending, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're coming in from. Maybe just a little bit of background about ES Tech Group. We are a DCKAP partner and actually been in business since 2006. We started in the UK back then and are a provider of B2B e-commerce platforms focused really on distributors and manufacturers. If I fast forward to today, I run the US operations and we have just about 350 customers live on the platform. As I said, very much B2B focused as opposed to B2C. And let me jump into the topics here. My background prior to ES Tech was as a CIO in several multi-billion-dollar distribution and manufacturing companies. And so I have a lot of lessons learned, a lot of scars, good things that happen, not so good things. And I have tried to compress all of that into 3 critical success factors that I think I've kind of seen, and see if we can get through it in 20 minutes. So it starts, and we'll go into each one of these in sequence here, but I kind of have a passion around the fact that if you're either just getting into B2B e-commerce, and many companies still are, maybe surprisingly, but many are, or if you're already deeply into it, I think you should be looking at the platform provider as a partner. I think it's more than a transaction of getting some software and turning it on. So we'll talk a bit more about that. You should have a partner. But then as you kind of build on that, I think really, I will say, and my background is IT as a CIO, the technology is really it's kind of the easy piece, dare I say it. If you don't get the people, the organizational alignment in your business, and you don't adjust some of your processes, it really isn't going to be successful. It's all got to come together, and then it's got to be combined with using data over time to drive continuous improvement in really the experience for your customers when they're online. And then last but not least, we'll go briefly into, and I don't think this is maybe as it's kind of obvious, but I don't think people view it that way. The most successful e-commerce presence is going to create the best customer experience. It's why we all focus on a smaller number of sites for procurement buying. It's the one that gives you the best experience, the easiest experience, the most engaged experience that's going to win. And so, how do you enable that? So point number 1, success factor number 1, as I said, I think it's about finding really a partner. A lot of people start their journey in e-commerce, or even if you're already actually deeply into e-commerce and maybe thinking about the fact that you need a better platform, people will often start with an RFQ document that lists all the features and functions that you're looking for. But I actually think you should have some criteria in there about the company you're about to partner with. Putting up an e-commerce site is a strategic decision. It's a business strategy, and it should be for the long term. And so it's trying to make sure that your goals and objectives are aligned with the partners and that it is an ongoing relationship. And so I think if you kind of think of evaluating partner choices, and I created a pyramid here, and it is a pyramid structure and deliberately set up that way. I think there's foundational elements that should be criteria in who you select. And those are kind of the must-haves. And then there are a set of criteria that I call them business enabling. They're things that are going to drive efficiency for you, efficiency for your customers. And then there are criteria that will overall drive the ultimate success and see growth for you and see satisfied customers. And so we'll go through this, and you know, we read from bottom to top, so bear with me. But if you, and really, I think of these as selection criteria. And as I said, if any of the foundational elements are failing or don't exist, it's going to cause the structure to crumble. It's a pyramid. And so for me, and a lot of it was on the last presentation, you know, the fundamentals are security, data privacy, and compliance. That is kind of a must-have in today's world. And it's everything from, you know, making sure you have real-time mitigation of denial of service attacks. It's complying with data privacy regulation like the GDPR, the global data privacy regulation that came out of Europe. Now relevant regulation also in California. And really that's kind of a must-have. And these are all must-haves. We get calls, you know, if I come up the list here, bottom to top, we do get calls from prospects say, hey, I'm looking for something which has more uptime. My site keeps going down. And so if you're selecting somebody, really ask for their statistics on uptime. It certainly should be 99.9, and really it should be 99.99% uptime. So essentially the site is not down for all the obvious reasons. And then, you know, it should be massively scalable. I think what we see as a pattern in today's world is obviously distributors in particular who have a broad array of suppliers and products. They need massive scalability in terms of SKUs. And so the site, the platform should be massively scalable. SKUs, orders, customers, transactions. The site should always have sub-second response time. And we all know if it doesn't, like if site's slow, if search is bad, you're not coming back. And so that combined with mobile responsive is kind of another obvious one in today's world, or what I would call 4 infrastructure type things that must be there. And then the other one that must be there to have a foundation to a great site is really world-class product content. So that's the rich content on the website, the images, the videos, the marketing copy, the data sheets, maybe 3D image rotation. It's the things that enable a prospect, a customer to come to the site and actually find what they're looking for. It drives an effective search, and it's got sufficient detail that you can make an accurate buying decision. And so what we know statistically, you can see if the product information isn't as good as it needs to be, the returns, the actual product returns will be higher. And it is really critical to drive a great search experience. And so your partner, if most manufacturers obviously provide the content for the products that they're manufacturing, but certainly in distribution, if you need to talk to the partner if you don't really have a visibility into how you get great content. And we have partners both in the UK here, partners here in the US like DDS, Distributed Data Solutions. We have a number of partners to make sure our customers get awesome content. So absolutely critical, but often actually not recognized as a significant challenge, and having great content is a lot of work. So if I come up the pyramid, as I said, you know, this is business enabling. It's kind of next up in the tier, and each one of these levels builds to making the one above more effective. And if they aren't there, it's going to be, you know, not a great experience. So next up, from my perspective and experience, is you need a lot of B2B functionality. It's very different for those of you. I'm sure most people on the webinar here know B2B is very different to B2C. The procurement scenarios are more complex, and so your platform should have features for this built in. They shouldn't be somebody showing up to write software to do this. And I'm meaning things like order approvals, you know, an approval hierarchy. An order above a certain value has to get approved by someone else in the customer organization. Maybe the customer wants to track budgets and budgets against a cost center or a department. Maybe they need punch outs from a procurement platform. All of these things have to be in the platform as configurable, as opposed to writing software. They should be standard and quick to implement either in the initial setup, but as you onboard a new customer, this should not be a complex. This should be an intuitive setup that either you or the end customer can perform. ERP connectivity, it's a big part of our relationship with DCKAP. The connectivity clearly drives efficiency, especially as online business scales. Our ideal approach is we get access to the back end for real-time pricing, real-time inventory. But number one is also that as an e-commerce user, as a distributor manufacturer, you're really only managing any data set in one place, either in the ERP or in the e-commerce platform. So that's critical, and having that rich functionality that also includes things like pulling up order history, orders that were not placed online, invoice history, credit balances. So that connectivity is critical and should honestly in today's world be enabled by open APIs that do facilitate real-time connectivity. Other integrations too, sometimes PIM, Product Information Management Platform, CRM, punch-outs I mentioned. It's really growing very quickly in the enterprise or the government state world, where procurement departments are using punch-outs. And if you're not familiar with that, Google it, but it's one of the fastest growing things that we see in B2B, or you can send me an email and we can talk about it. But these enabling capabilities, if they're built into the platform and architected, they will enable a faster implementation and faster improvements to the site once it's live. And because of that, it's going to be more cost effective for you as somebody working with a partner, with an e-commerce provider. Faster implementation costs less, and it gets you faster to an ROI. And then really, I shouldn't really say the icing on the cake, but it's the growth on the pyramid. The site absolutely should enable you to segment customers. We all have different types of customers, and you should be able to segment them. And when they are logged in, create a more personalized experience. So that could be the dashboard they see when they're logged in. It could be the promotions that they see are specific or associated with their normal buying patterns. And so personalization is key. And again, it should be built into the platform. It doesn't need to be a science. It should be something that the marketing team can leverage, implement, and really drive a deeper and deeper engagement with the customer. And it really is combined with, I would say, sophisticated marketing and merchandising functionality. So, we see some of this is very much in B2C, but everything from cross-sells, upsells, reward programs, coupon codes, buy one, get one, whatever it might be, content pages specific to a new product launch. All of these things should be in the platform, be intuitive, and be able to be managed by the marketing team, not requiring a call to IT and the length and time. It should be very, weekly change to the site. SEO controls, certainly very important in B2B as well, at least when you're prospecting and looking for people to find you. We've certainly seen in our customer base during this COVID period, with supply chain disruption, a lot of businesses are Googling for products. We all know about PPE equipment, which we have customers who sell that. The SEO capabilities of the platform are key for those kind of things. And then last but not least, I'm back to my partner statement. You should check, is the platform that you're looking at, is there a history that it's continuing to evolve? It's continuing to get new features and capabilities, because this world of commerce is changing rapidly. And so look at the roadmap history, talk to existing customers. Do they charge every time new features come out? I actually don't believe they should be charging. We don't. But it's that driven by a lifelong kind of counsel on best practices and the relationship in an ongoing way. And so, are the quarterly business reviews, and is the platform or partner, as I prefer to say, are their goals aligned with yours, and helping really grow the business, bringing existing, customers online who maybe weren't online, and growing the share of wallet, growing order size, and then also leveraging the site for finding new customers. And so, I know hopefully this is a checklist. Tim, I think Tim's going to make the slides available, but happy to follow up with any of you if you have more questions. There's obviously could be a lot of detail behind all of this. So second, as I said in the intro, technology in many regards, in my view, is easy for me to say, but it's the easy piece. And I've seen in some of my projects that I was responsible for in my CIO days, And I see it with some customers that they're not really thinking through the people or organizational aspects of driving e-commerce. And certainly then there's process implications, and then how do you leverage data? And so just briefly, we'll go through some of these. So I think we see there's many companies who put up an e-commerce site, and as I say, you know, build it, they will come. And actually in B2B, they definitely won't come. Customers are not going to show up. Your existing customers are not going to convert to the site, and you're unlikely to find new prospects. It requires the right talent and the right processes to be combined with the right platform. And so if you think of the people side, I don't know whether you start with this or some of the other points, but it's absolutely clear somebody in the team needs to have a digital marketing background and digital marketing skills. And I would actually say, if I was hiring somebody, if I was a distributor or manufacturer, I'd be looking for somebody who has that in a B2B world as opposed to B2C. It is different. It's all the personalization and the engagement from a marketing and merchandising perspective is different than from B2C. It's actually bringing existing customers on and selling them more product, winning share of wallet, and making sure they spend more with you than the alternative suppliers that they could consider. So it's a different scenario, and if anybody wants to follow up, we could go deeper on that, but that's kind of a must-have, but often missing. And then the other key must-have organizationally is the sales team. The sales team mustn't see, you know, the new website or the existing website as a threat to their commissions, maybe a threat to relationships that they feel they've built over years. It's got to be actually promoted by the sales team. The salesperson is usually the most trusted person in the relationship with the customer. And so it's actually critical that the sales guys engage, that they understand the platform and they understand and can help sell the benefits of the platform to customers. And so its features, functions, and critically important. And so that change management, organizational change management aspect is key. And it's something we actually endeavor to help customers with during, you know, an initial implementation if they haven't really done e-commerce before. It's no good us just delivering the platform. The process, well, maybe it's kind of obvious, but the website needs daily feeding and attention for it to be engaging. And that comes back to the digital marketing skills, the customer segmentation, the bringing the right promotions, setting up new features. Maybe people need help setting up, you know, approvers, budgets in the platform, but it needs daily feeding and attention. And if it gets that, it's going to be successful. And if it doesn't get that people and process piece, it will be a very static site. And then last but not least, you know, the continuous improvement should be data driven. The analytics on the website should enable you as the provider of the site, manufacturer, distributor, to really track what works, what doesn't work. The kind of A/B testing from a marketing perspective and really seeing which features work and which promotions work. And so these four things have to come together and really they're living and breathing. The technology needs to keep advancing. The people need to adapt to the technology. The processes get refined and data is used to drive all of that. And then just last but not least, from an overall, you know, creating the ultimate customer experience. It is why we tend to gravitate to certain sites when we, even as B2C people, are procuring for ourselves. And I think the word omni-channel may be sometime overused, but I think it's actually super important. In let's say businesses that aren't selling commodity products, the engagement with sales is still very much there. And so I put the quote here, you know, I use the web when I want to, and I call a salesperson when I need to. And that must be seamless. So maybe there's a sophisticated product that needs to be set up, configured, discussed, presented in a quote, but that quote needs to end up back integrated into the website to be turned into an order. Some of the, you know, the non-transactional things like invoice payment should come onto the web. and make it more efficient. But it is a total omni-channel experience that still leverages sales people and still may leverage consultants. And so I kind of say it, maybe it's a strange sounding phrase, but the website experience, honestly, it should be enjoyable. It should not be frustrating or aggravating. And it's actually got to enable efficiency for the customer. It's got to be personalized. It's got to have the account management features, invoices, credit balances, all of those things that can be done online very simply and more efficiently. But ultimately, what the site needs to do is it needs to fit the customer's processes. So if they are tracking budgets and however they're doing it, purchase order numbers, cost centers, approvers, once those things are set up with a customer and it enables those extra business efficiencies, they are going to keep coming back to the site. And so those features drive stickiness, which drive growth in their share of spend with you versus your competition. And then very last but not least, we probably all know this, but sometimes it doesn't work as it should do. The whole thing has to be backed by a supply chain that meets the delivery promise. We're in this world of I want it now, or I at least want it when you told me I was going to get it, and it's going to be the right product. It's not going to be damaged. And so supply chain and measuring supply chain is also, really, really critical. So Tim, I think I wrapped it up. I've got my email address here. I'm not sure there's too much time for Q&A, but anybody who's on, feel free to email me on any parts of the presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dave. That was a great presentation. Yeah, we are running a little bit short on time right now. So if you do have any questions, feel free to address them in the Q&A tab at the bottom, and then hopefully we get all the presenters to be able to answer those.